Welcome back to WaterparkRanger's Let's Play Pikmin 2. Last episode, we finished the White Flower Garden dungeon, ran into some trouble with the boss, and a poison pipe for which I shall never forgive myself. And in this episode, we're starting off things by having our purples grab the second half of the globe here. The first half we found in an emergence cave. That's why we brought them along, these purples, so they could get the second half of the globe. Of course, they're not to fight anything, because that would defeat the purpose of this run of the game. And also, I had Louie have the reds work on the bridge while the purples were going for the globe. That way, they could finish the bridge really quickly. And the bridge is a wonderful shortcut back to the main site. And actually, I'm not sure if you noticed, but they built it incredibly quickly, basically, because in Pikmin 2, the Pikmin build bridges much more fast than they did in the first game. Much more fast? Is that grammatically accurate? They build bridges faster. Much more faster than they did in the first one. In fact, I'm pretty sure if you set one Pikmin to work on a bridge by the beginning of the day, they can have it done by the end of the day in this game. At least I've heard. I'm not sure if that's true. Now over here, in the taller of the two flower pots, there's actually another treasure buried there. The treasure gauge will let you know it's there. You need to bring the white Pikmin there, so that's why I had the white Pikmin get the buried treasure, purple Pikmin get the globe, and red Pikmin get the bridge, and then help the purples with the globe. A very good combination for getting this day done very efficiently. Olimar, Louie, the sun will be setting soon. Call all of the Pikmin to you. This planet's native nocturnal life forms are ferocious, and therefore dangerous. Load your Pikmin into the onion and yourselves into my hole so we can take refuge in low orbit. Pikmin in your squad will enter the onion on their own at day's end, so call them all to you. Alright, basically what the ship is telling us, and I guess this is actually the first time it's happened, because, we've actually not ever had, we haven't had a night segment of this game yet. And basically, it stays the same as in the first game. Like, if your Pikmin are anywhere else but buried in the ground, at your base camp, or under your current control, they're gonna die at sundown. Of course, they'll be saving their onions as well, which is pretty obvious. So, just like the first game, you want to watch out for those requirements. Just to clear up any confusion about the dungeons, basically, if you're going into a dungeon with a current party but there are other Pikmin in the overworld, like at any point, they'll be safe when you go underground. It's not like they're gonna die. They'll just go back to the onion, basically. I hope that clears some confusion about dungeons. And if it didn't, well, I'm not sure how I can make it any more clear than it already is. And now we get to see the second half of the globe, which is also a special treasure, you know, because of that little jingle that it gives. This hemisphere also contains a hidden microchip. I will attempt to decrypt the stored data. Decoding complete. As I surmise, this chip contains additional topographic data. The data has been inputted into my database. I shall name it the survey chart. So this will basically help us open up a new area. Oh, and we have 30% of the debt recovered, so that's very nice too. Yeah, the ship didn't do a very good job of explaining that these globes really open up a new overworld area to explore. And also, back in when I first played the first game, I was kind of confused about exactly what area meant. I thought it was kind of a vague term for like the different parts of the level. Like, for instance, I thought that when it said ship parts in this area, I thought, like, when I went to the Forest of Hope, that maybe they were only talking about all the Forest of Hope that I had seen by that point, and there was actually more of it. Of course, that's not the case. And I'm just going to fly off these Pikmin before the day really ends. I know it seems kind of risky, but the Pikmin are quick about drinking nectar and going back to your party in this game. Really, there are just so many small touches in basic gameplay improvement over the first that really pay off. And a lot of those actually have to do with control. Some people might say it's the Pikmin's AI, but really it's just more refined control. The Pikmin are as stupid as they ever were, really. Pikmin are not smart creatures, you just have to be smart about commanding them, and then they'll be smart for you. Of course, this probably isn't the best run of the game to be saying that on, due to how stupid that requirement about fighting bosses is. Seriously, I've thought about it, and there are some bosses where having a full party fight against them is going to be a horrible idea. But anyway, we got a ton of treasures this day. We might actually clear 2,000 Pokos. Yeah! Awesome! So we got a ton of money on this day. Very efficient. Population went way up. However, we also had our first 10 deaths because the 9 for the battles and the 1 poison pipe. Oh, that poison pipe. That was such a fail. I wonder if it'll be the worst fail. Probably not. Olimar, good work so far. I hereby promote you to Perennial Manager. Press X to divide up work, and Y to delegate more to your subordinate leader. Hope all goes smoothly. So do I, President. So do I. His eyes are so bright and full of hope. Very unlike his later letters. And now for something which is actually different from anything that's happened in the Let's Play so far. Because of the awkward way in which these videos were cut up to account for my time constraints and uploading, we're actually going to start the next day in this very same episode. So lucky you, you get to see this all-new area, Perplexing Pool. Or at least I would say all-new if it wasn't actually a remake of the Distant Spring map from Pikmin 1. That being said, it's actually the most packed level, probably, of Pikmin 2. As far as the overworld is concerned. There's just so much in it. It's a really well-designed area. And our ship has another note for us in the morning. Good morning! The white Pikmin are lodged with the purple ones in my hole. The two types are sleeping well and do not quarrel. I have made them most comfortable. You can call out the white Pikmin by standing in the light beneath me and pressing A. On a separate note, be wary of overworking yourselves. Taking a break can be courageous too. To retire early for the day, press Start/Pause to access the radar screen, then press R. So yes, you have unlimited days in this game, even though each day has a set ending. I believe that you can just keep having day after day after day, although I believe there also is a certain limit. Now normally I would suggest bringing some purples along, but because we're not using purples for combat on this run, just bring all the whites you have, and then reds for the rest of your party. Of course, normally I would advocate bringing some purples along for the enemy zone counter. And yes, there is a yellow onion and some yellow Pikmin over there. Look, off in the distance, wild Pikmin. Can you see them, Captain Olimar? They're yellow Pikmin. You encountered them when you crashed on this planet, correct? It would be most helpful if they remember you, like the red ones did. Yes, most helpful. Indeed it would, ship. Indeed it would. So, of course, we got to get over to those yellow Pikmin. But first off, you want to take care of these shearwigs that live pretty close to your landing site. They're just like the shearwigs from the first game, except like the other sheargrubs you've seen so far, their cheapness factor has been removed because they can no longer just eat Pikmin on the spot like they did in the first one, like grabbing and not letting go until they're defeated. They can't do that anymore in this game. On the spot! And anyway, they're defeated very easily, as you can see. They still have that little HP. Whoa! Never mind, just some eggs randomly fell from the sky with nectar. Nothing wrong with that. And we still have the yellow Wollywogs. You remember these guys. Like all enemies from Pikmin 1 that return in this game, their HP is definitely weakened. In addition, they can't kill nearly as many Pikmin as they could in the first game. Also, that's a really cool plant right there, that dandelion, and when you brush into it, the little bits of the dandelion go flying away in the breeze. I remember IGN in their review of the game noted that detail, and I was like, sweet, we get dandelions that fall apart. I sounded just like that when I was younger. Anyway, you throw these whites up here to this ledge. This is an interesting little puzzle mechanism that they added to Pikmin 2. And then throw these reds up here next. Purples, it's tough to get them up here, but it might be worth your while just for some of the annoying enemies past here. Of course, we don't need to worry about throwing purples up here because we just have normal throw Pikmin with us. And now, call the rest of the Pikmin into your party. No, what are you doing? Yeah, basically, those Pikmin upset the scales. I think you're, basically, without me understanding it, you probably understand how these scales work by this point. Whenever a Pikmin falls onto it and increases weight, your captains actually don't count for any weight on the scales. And so, whichever scale has more Pikmin on it, that one's going to rise and it's going to sink. I mean, that one's going to make one rise while it sinks. It's kind of complex, but really, if you just watched it, it was easy enough to understand. And here we had a swooping snitch bug. I said had, because we killed it so quickly. Once again, HP is lowered for the first game, but if they get a hold of your Pikmin, they will cause you no end of misery. Because they will plant the Pikmin by throwing them into the ground. Sometimes they'll throw them into bodies of water. So that just makes them very annoying nuisances of enemies. So I'll have the whites work on that bridge over there. While we take our reds to fight this enemy, normally I would advocate you getting purple potion to fight it, but we don't have a choice. It's a fiery Bulblax, has a lot of HP, more than a few bosses actually. It's very dangerous, and we defeated it without losing any Pikmin, which is awesome. Only red Pikmin can fight it, obviously, unless you manage to extinguish the fire. How that is done, you will find out at a later point in the game, when it actually makes sense to explain it. And there was another swooping snitch bug over there. And I'm going to have Olimar go around to the other end where we defeated the shearwigs, because that's where the bridge will lead. So he can call those whites back into the party, just like that. And I guess at about the 10-minute mark, this is probably a good time to end off the episode. We'll continue with Day 4 and meeting the yellow Pikmin next episode.